eGovernment plan. There is an impetus post-COVID-19. Luckily, Africa or Nigeria will escape the second wave, unlike the Europeans and the Americans. So definitely there's an impetus for us to latch on to some of the lessons learned during COVID-19. And I think that the challenge is adoption. So just breaking that thematic into certain areas. I want to just sort of throw it out there for my panelists. We have what I would consider a digital literacy challenge. Not only amongst Nigerians, but you could argue that the workforce in government is more analog than digital. Then the second area that we should also focus on, so that we can get this impetus and drive going, is about meaningful connectivity. I know that the Lagos State governor, represented by the deputy governor, spoke about 3,000 kilometers of unified duct systems or fiber in Lagos to ensure that their MDAs are connected. But we need much more than just 3,000 kilometers. I mean, it's been argued by NCC that we need 120,000 kilometers of fibers across the nation, and we're just at 53,000 kilometers. So you can see the gap there, and 3,000 out of that gap is still insufficient. And then when we talk about meaningful connectivity, what do we actually mean? Is it affordable devices? Is it affordable data? Or even, is it Wi-Fi available to everyone, including those that work in the MDAs? And when we consider adoption, we also have to consider the fact that digital transformation means cloud adoption. Have we adopted cloud in its full entirety? And I think if we want to get the digital dividends and the benefits of the impetus post-COVID-19, we really have to think about creating jobs for our youth. And I think that speaks to local content. And then before I join you on stage, I think digital transformation is a journey and a cycle, and it's a process. Smart cities, like the initiative that the Lagos State governor and the government has started, is the future, definitely. But we cannot just have a smart city where there's infrastructure and then on the demand side, it isn't there, because in my opinion, there's need for training, STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and reskilling. But the challenge, sir, is that we are here. To get to where we want to get to will take some time. And I've just said some things on the podium that will instigate some debate, because the thematic says impetus. Well, it says COVID, but impetus. Yeah, and that's the word, the thematic. But, sir, your opinion on the thematic, the reality on ground, from your viewpoint. You know, you're in Abuja, you can see everything. Please, just start to give us a sense of where we are. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. And thanks for having me here today. Let me start by saying the question is very, very good. Yes. So, I mean, the problems are multi-layered, right? Because in essence, we're talking about getting to a digital economy. But we have to look at what are the infrastructural foundations that are required to get us to be able to do digital. Right? So if we look at the first base being infrastructure, I think most of our problems in Nigeria actually lies in the infrastructural phase. And we tend to do a bit of things digitally and sort of mimicking, clap for ourselves when we do that. I think if we take the approach where we focus on the main problem, which you just clearly stated, you nailed it, on the broadband perspective, looking at our systems, getting that right, then we'll be on the pathway to a digital economy. A digital economy has several pillars, and I think those are the exact words that were used in the documents you referenced. And each of them can actually, start to run somewhat, parallel. For instance, training STEM. What do we do? Do we start training NYSC students? Do we go to the nursery schools and start teaching technology, as that's where it really belongs? Kids of nowadays are pretty much born with iPads. That's kind of if you're so able to, right? Which is not great. So we're going to teach kids technology from a young age. That is something they can start today. That's something that needs to be put onto our Ministry of Education to start. One of the things I've found myself saying, by the way, my time in government has been recent actually. One of the things that I've come to realize is that it's very difficult for paper to drive digital. So if your mindset is that of paper, and being able to talk literature, it's very difficult for you to also be the person to drive the evolution. Because what really is a digital evolution? Transformation is just not enough. It's a full wholesale change of how we think of our processes and our procedures in government.
When we talk about digital transformation and the role that government agencies have to play, the role of government is to create an enabling environment. And that dovetails into government agencies making use of digital technologies in their business processes. Many years ago, we did what we call the BPE, Business Process Re-engineering, in the Federal Inland Revenue Service. And the starting point, the foundation, is identity management. Unfortunately, when we started, Nigeria did not have a robust existing identity management system. Otherwise, there would have been no point starting afresh. So we started with something called TIN, the tax identification number. Now, we have advanced so much with TIN now. We started by calling people to come and register their TIN and also asking companies to register and obtain their TIN. But as we speak now, if you register a new company with the Corporate Affairs Commission, your TIN is automatically generated and affixed on your certificate of incorporation. So this is where we are now, and that just happened this year. So you don't need to do process round tripping again, unlike in the past that you have to go to CAC, you have to go to FIRS, you have to pay online. Even the process of company registration is online, end to end. You fill all the forms online, you pay your stamp duty, you pay the relevant CAC fees, and then you get your company registered. So that is an example of the automation of the process, which has made life easier for the citizen. Also, in the year 2012, we started what we call the e-tax pay. In the past, it was impossible to pay your taxes unless you go to a bank. The starting point was all FRS offices used to have cash offices. You have to bring your money to the FRS office. That was before 2005. And there were a lot of issues. You know, as the saying goes, lead us not into temptation. So when you bring money to tax officers and tax offices, that is an invitation to trouble. I will not know about what happened there. But going forward from 2005, we started with a project known as the Project FACT. And that was the advent of our tax portal. A tax portal was developed, though it was not external facing, it was internal facing. And with the tax portal was integrated with all the commercial banks. So the issue of taking cash to FRS office was discontinued. So you had to go to the bank and pay your taxes. And when you pay your taxes, from our desktop, we will see all wherever you are paying, whether you are in any state or we even know the bank branch, how much you pay, what taxes you're paying for. And then in the year 2012, we had the electronic tax payment, started from 2012. And up to date, we still have the ability to pay taxes online. So now it's possible for taxpayers to pay their taxes at the comfort of their offices or homes. So that is where we are now. That started from 2012. But as we have always said, change management is very important. Adoption is very important. We also have our e-filing, so that taxpayers don't have to come to our office, they can go online and file. But it's very important for us to think out of the box as government by providing incentives. One of the ways this could be done, for example, is to say that when you pay electronically or you file electronically, you get some discounts. For us to be able to do this, we need to amend the law to say if you pay your taxes online, you get 1% discount. You may think that we are foolish. I know it's very difficult to convince government to do something like this. Sometimes when you do give away, it appears as if one is being foolish, but the story in the industry shows otherwise. Like now, they are giving us SIMs, giving away SIMs. I remember the days of not 9 months. You had to have up to 500,000 naira before you could get a line. And the people were, so the economy of scale, there were very few people who could afford it. But now that they are giving us SIMs free of charge, we have almost 205 million subscribers. Also look at Google. I was wondering whether something was wrong with, psychologically wrong with the owners of Google in those days, when they were giving us free services, free email, free backup services, everything was free. So I was wondering, how will these guys do their money? But they are very patient in the advanced countries. We have angel investors who can fund such initiatives and wait for 10 years before they make their very first profit. You have Amazon, who was just a bookseller in the physical world, and now they are into artificial intelligence. They are at the forefront of technology. So we also need to have that mindset. I think one of the problems we have is we are reactive. We think short term, we don't think about the long term. So if we can redirect and channel our minds towards long-term thinking, I believe that we will get to the promised land very soon. I could speak on and on, but I was told that we have very limited time, and I don't want to eat into the credit of my colleague who is standing by. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I was getting excited that we're allowed to speak on and on and on. We might have time to just take even one more minute from you, because I love what you said. I will still come back to you, sir. Mindset and paper, I like that. And here's an agency that is pushing the envelope, but it's quite not there. And they've revealed some secrets about government. Galaxy backbone, infrastructure. A lot of money has been spent on Galaxy backbone. I like your data center in Abuja. I like it. I want to take it from this perspective. I mentioned local content. I will give kudos to government. Quite a number of the MDAs are putting up websites. Where they're hosted, I don't know, but you tell me. And I also give kudos to government, because some of them are starting to drop the folder and using fanciful tablets, but they still have the folder there. It's power, apparently, they told me. Galaxy backbone, we have to transform. Guys, we need to digitize as well. How far? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me start with the question about how many government agencies have websites posted in national. It's called that building in Abuja, that one that you like. Opposite, but yeah, exactly. It's called the National Shared Services Center, NSS. Then we have about 4 floors of data center infrastructure. Okay, so the government MPAs, we still have issues with government agencies trusting the fact that Galaxy is able to host their services. We still have all of that. I mean, we've been on it for so many years, trying to convince. Yeah, where we were 10 years ago when I joined Galaxy is not where we are as we speak. I mean, we have government agencies who, on a daily basis, run the operations from the Galaxy, from that data center. We have agencies in the aviation sector, even in the maritime sector. They have all of the operations seated in that data center, so you just connect to it in the morning and they run. So we have moved a bit from where we were in terms of trying to convince government agencies on, okay, you can localize your hosting. Nigeria is not as bad as it seems. Galaxy is not as, we're not as backward as is read online or the feedback. Galaxy has actually, we've moved, 10 years ago we were crawling, but I can say to you now, we are taking, but we're not taking baby steps, we are taking toddler steps. We are not where we were. So the infrastructure is there, the platform is there for detection to be driven by all of this MDA. Like I said to you, we have agencies that run the operations from that data center, and I mean they've taken away the headache of trying to see how they need to invest in that infrastructure personally. So what they do is leverage on what government has done. And like I said, the money that's gone into Galaxy government, a lot of money going into Galaxy government, and that money you can see by yourself. I was just telling Bosso that sometime next week we'll take him around the facility so that you see that Galaxy is ready, Nigeria is ready for that digital economy. And I think FIRS too we have some partnership with you, that you brought some of your applications to our environment. I think I did something some months back. I can't remember. But so the fact is, Galaxy is ready. The government investment that have been put into Galaxy has been judiciously utilized and is there for everybody to see. So in terms of the digital economy, Galaxy is ready to drive it, to partner with every agency that has that has that innovation in their mind, in their plan, to drive digitalization in the environment.
Thank you for that status update. One of the things the Deputy Governor said, and I just wanted to not labor on the point, is the gap between aspiration and where we are as a country. And coming back to the Presidency, you spoke about this mindset and the reality of paper, and I think that's where you stopped when you got the very important call. So I want you to pick up from there, maybe another 2 minutes, sir, just to elaborate more, and then
So I was leading to the fact that the current government is driven by paper. Even some of our policies, pushes towards file carrying and having paper. Even certain technologies that are set up, like document management systems, are set up only to support paper, but not to drive away paper. So it's very difficult to drive digitalization if you're thinking paper. So that's one point. The global mindset now around e-governance is basically that data is the new oil. The point was made on this panel about why did Google give away such free services. It's because their long-term plan was about selling us as data points. This is the key thing about digital citizenry. What we have today is just bits and pieces of what we refer to as digital citizenry. Our friends at FIRS are doing a very good part of it with TIN. We have to look at what's happening in other NDAs, like licensing, birth and death, marriage, but these are all parts of the total solution. When you look at the definition of e-governance, the raw definition of e-governance is really service, right? You're offering service to your citizens. And the question is, how do you offer service to your citizens? The general approach of documenting your citizens goes far beyond just enumerating your citizens. It's not about counting them, but more so understanding who they are, where they're at, and how can you offer services at their point of existence. So just to go back to what I was saying earlier before I jumped into the paper mindset, our key problems are that we have poor infrastructure. I mean, most stakeholders really know it. I saw in the paper, most of us here Telecom people. How to incentivize the telecom industry to provide connectivity in our rural areas is a big part. Because otherwise we're creating a new divide that will become data set divide, in the sense that those that have will have access to data, and those that don't will not have access to data, which will lead to a new brand of poverty. Because as you move down this pipeline of infrastructure, digitalization to virtualization, if you're not participating in the infrastructure, then you can never digitize. If you're not participating in digitalization, you can never virtualize. And that means you'll be left behind.
So once we've identified the fact that we have an infrastructure gap, private-public partnership, where 2025 speaks to that, and the e-government framework, it says framework, but we need to implement it. And I guess what you're saying is that if we don't have infrastructure, we can't digitize anything. So we'll continue to use folders, and then the communication with the citizens will not be there. We have a big problem, to which I don't have an answer. But I like the example of FRS, because you also have a small challenge. The governor of Lagos State talked about the informal sector being greater than the formal sector. And people like us in the room, you know our team, you know how much we're paying. If you use your laptop now, or your tablet, you know how much I paid. That's a worry, isn't it? Because if you go outside now, you go and grab one of those boys that is, you say, what are you talking about? Even you won't even know how much is paid. So, I guess what I'm trying to say, considering what the Presidency has said, which is a reality, how does FRS expand that tax net base? You understand? Because if they're getting more tax as an income for government, will be restricted if you don't want to say that. Have you thought about how you're going to do it? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a very beautiful question. Now, as I said, conventional results, but we need to think unconventionally in order to achieve extraordinary results. Now, if we look at the examples of other countries, the government deliberately creates what we call stimulus. Stimulus. You've heard about stimulus package, economic crisis that affected the whole world, especially during the Obama administration. It brought about the stimulus package. Also during the Depression years, before the Second World War, the government of the various advanced countries had to deliberately create the stimulus. That is by providing activities that will add value, but at the same time keep the people busy. Also, Defense Advanced Research Project, an agency known as DARPA in the US, new line of business, which led to the internet. Also, it's not only the big companies that benefit, but also the smaller SMEs. It is the informal sectors that eventually become SMEs. Sectors into SMEs. And this has to be done deliberately. So I think the emphasis should be on the government creating stimulus that will make the roadside seller of akara to become a manufacturer of akara who will now be packaging and selling and they will not be able to pay more taxes, similar to what happened in the telecom sector. Industries in rural areas should be given tax incentives. They should be given pioneer status, or people that are putting broadband internet connectivity in rural areas should be given pioneer status. So we need to use tax to stimulate the economy and also to empower the informal sector by training. Now, if they hear FIRS, they will run away. If I go to a place now, they see my ID card, the informal sector people will pick race. But we need to make them our friends, to let them know that, okay, we are not even coming to collect taxes. We just want to train you on how to keep your books, how to grow your business, so that eventually you'll be paying taxes and then you'll be able to get loans from banks and you'll become one of the people that started from garage and are now controlling the whole world. People like Dele started from garage. So these same people who are on the roadside, on the streets. So our approach should be to empower them. I believe that this is the best way to go, rather than stressing them. I even hide my ID card every time I go to speak to SMEs. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just before we wind down and open it to the floor, because I'm sure they have many questions. Let's invite one. You know you're very critical to the success of e-government. I've just sat here. FRS has done a good job. Sorry, if you don't mind me saying, they're almost ahead of you. They're almost ahead of you. And that's embarrassing for an infrastructure service provider for government. Can you just share some latest projects you might be getting on to ensure that we expedite and create momentum on this e-government program that's so important for the digitalization of the government? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. In the last 2-3 years, we built a connectivity infrastructure that started from Abuja across 13 states. We came through Calabar to Port Harcourt to Ore, then down to Ajah, which is on the island. Now that's the first project. That project is called National Information Communication Technology Infrastructure Broadband, NICTI. That's NICTI 1. If not for the COVID-19 for 2020, that the second phase of that project should have kicked off early in the year. That's the 24-month implementation plan. That second phase will take the fiber connectivity to the remaining 23 states of Nigeria. So that would ensure that the OneGov initiative, the OneGov plan back 12 years ago would have been achieved like that. So that means that all levels of government, federal, state, local government, will be connected on one fiber backbone network. So that's on that part of it. So as soon as we, like you said, when you started, I don't think the second wave of COVID-19 will affect us so much. So I'm hoping that sometime next year, that second phase of the NICTI 2 will kick off. Like I said, it has 24 months plan. So that's on the infrastructure side. On the, you said something before, carrying file and all these tabs, and they carry their file. Okay, we, because of the COVID-19 global realities, we also created a platform where Federal Executive Council meetings are held virtually. So you hear that Fed approved this, Fed approved that, Fed approved that. There's not been any physical meeting since March. So everything has been done virtually. I had a presentation I wanted to show before. I think we've done 22, we've hosted 22 Fed meetings virtually. And of course, we've also launched a couple of projects across the country, simultaneous launch virtually in most of the regions, the southwest, the north, the southeast. All of these technology projects launched by the Minister of Communication and Digital Economy. So those are the kind of things that we that we have done in recent times, despite the global reality. So just, I mean, it has brought to the fore that either we like it or not, detention is the order of the day. That is the solution. Like Oswald said, citizen-facing services have to be done. I mean, I'm a public servant, so I cannot say some things, but I think we need to also get away from lip service to where we actually have some action items. Action items, in fact, let us first of all identify what are the G2C services that you want to digitize. Everyone has done a good job. Great. But there are, like you said, the guy selling gala on the street doesn't want to see, but the guy wants to carry his ID card. So what are we doing in that regard? I mean, that guy is not literally enough to come to you. He doesn't want to come to you, but you need his money. And Galaxy has also provided an environment for you to collect that money. But the guy, I'm sure he does not even have any form of identity. You know, so we need to first of all articulate what are the G2C services that we want to digitize. How do we take Nigeria from carrying files? Some of these old people. Okay, some of the older people are used to carrying files. Some of us, we of the new generation, don't want to see papers. You know, so we are there. The mindset is ready, but it's just a shift that needs to happen, and it has to happen from also.
I didn't want you to get yourself into trouble, so I pulled the mic away from you. Turn off the mic, switch off the mic. Oh, it's okay. We have heard you. It's not be war. Time for the floor, because I think the panel has done a lot of justice, and I must say the president took all the words out of my mouth. So, questions. We will take just 3 or 1, 2. I'm hearing 2. 1 lady there. Seconds. We want to take them all at the same time.
Please, you said something I need to clarify. You said you have the infrastructure on ground to capture the informal sector, which FRS is trying to get on board as SMEs, right? So we're trying to take the person selling akara, we want to bring them into small micro business environment, right? And you said you could support that. What do you have for the service, for the FIRS, that will help us get those people's data from you? Is it a future plan you're discussing, or it is something you already have on ground that we're just hearing about, so we can set up a meeting with you ASAP and get on board to get these people into the tax net and give them exceptional services where they will voluntarily pay their taxes? Thank you.
Along with what Dr. said about how we're trying to bring in the informal sector in this, I also think that there has to be a re-education. People need to know, young entrepreneurs need to know what taxes do to them and their businesses, because it's just as about running away from them, or they run away from you. They also need to know how important it is to pay your taxes and how it will give you more credibility as a business. Also for CAC, I registered my business last year, and one of the things that you said, sorry, Presidency, would be that we have a structure in place that supports to eradicate paperless, a system. And then I realized that I was going to register a business still, not just business name. And then it was online, I could do everything, but at some point, I still have to go back to CAC office to pay this, to sign this and that. And it could be done online. And I'm not a lawyer, but they said I could do it myself. But we need to have education to know how to do this and the benefits of these things. Thank you.
I was on federal government delegation to Egypt, and they took us around, their smart city, and the kind of critical infrastructure, heavy. And we were asking questions, there were a lot of journalists, and said, what happened to our galaxy backbone? What's the problem? And the guy told us verbatim, I'm sure some of those journalists are here, and they said, your people came from Nigeria, and we had a meeting with them, we were supposed to partner them to make this infrastructure seamless and make e-governance easy, except for they never saw them again. And that's been part of the pain, part of our pain as a nation. So what is Galaxy doing now to assure us that you are ready to deliver this to everyone. I mean, you talked about that kind of person. You know, we may look at them and think, oh, but if you look at the sum total of businesses they do, I mean, you are critical to them. So, Mr. Chairman. And sorry, may I also say that people are waiting for us. Egypt, Ethiopia, South Africa are ready for us. We're waiting for you.
Thank you. I will turn off the mic next time you talk. Don't be bullied by him. It's like that. So Galaxy 5.1. Dear, slowly, please.
Okay, I would like to stand up. Okay. Sorry, madam. I did not say that we are ready to drive the macroeconomic macro tax, whatever it is said. I didn't say that. What I said was that when you are ready to ensure the onboarding of that sector, Galaxy is ready with infrastructure to support you in that regard. Now, I just did a small sketch on this book now because the entire value system of the entire process of taking the guy on the street to where he's going to pay tax involves several levels of agencies and several levels of processes, which includes applications, which includes awareness, which includes also some level of onboarding before the infrastructure comes to it. That's what I said. So I'm saying that when FRS is ready to begin to look at that sector, Galaxy is ready with its infrastructure to help support you. And like I said, it could be some kind of PPP, which is okay, FRS is going to spend so much money, Galaxy, you have this infrastructure, let's have a 10-year plan, we're not going to pay for the first 5 years, we'll start paying for the next, at the 6th year, when we are able to also generate some level of awareness and support to get this kind of money. That's what I said. And I'm not taking it back. Galaxy is ready in terms of infrastructure. I mean, I don't know if you've been there before. We've not made. I don't know why we have not. Why we've not made so much noise in terms of what we have as Galaxy, because there's a huge untapped infrastructure back there in Abuja, which has also been extended to other parts of the country. Yeah. So yeah, it's there. Galaxy is ready. Okay, so to answer you, sir, I don't recall that meeting, but I can say to you that in terms of what Galaxy needs to deliver to ensure that Nigeria gets to that level of digital awareness, I'm very proud to say that Galaxy is ready. I said some time ago, some minutes back, we've laid fiber across 13 states. Now, I'm sure you would have seen some email addresses, OneGov.net. The initial plan for OneGov is to build a one government network that today you are in Ministry of Defense, tomorrow they take it to Ministry of Housing. You are not going to move your identity. It's there, it's central. And that's why Galaxy has provided cloud service to government way back 12 years ago. But it's just that because, I don't know, maybe because it's public service, the noise is not there. Galaxy has to be a private establishment. I'm sure, I mean, everywhere across the world would have known what Galaxy can do. So, that fiber is there. And like I said to you, because of COVID-19 realities, that's why the second phase has been put on road. Now, if that fiber goes across the nation, that means even the guy in Shomolu local government who is going there to pay, for example, ATCON permit. You know ATCON permits, that's their permit. That means they don't need to raise physical invoices any longer. That means that at the local government level as well, the drive to digitize their processes can be powered by that infrastructure that is made by Galaxy Market. So this is not a sales speech. It is what is there. It is what you can see by yourself, and it is what we can see over the next couple of years. I'm sure by the time we have this summit in 2 years, the story is going to be different. Because by that time, the whole of Nigeria will have been covered by that infrastructure. So we will not be left for the likes of FRS and other citizen-facing agencies to see how they can ensure that their services is not just at the national level, even at the guy on the street level. The guy can walk into any FRS booth or any FRS kiosk and make returns.
Thank you very much. My own questions are not as tough as it is, so I will sit down to answer. So, yes, paying of taxes is a civic responsibility, and all responsible citizens must pay their taxes. And this is the reason why we have started from the grassroots. We have what we call student tax advocates.